Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasin the Racin.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 100. And it's a
Is
hell
that
of a
all you've
milestone.
got? 99 beforehand and 100, you've got nothing. That's terrible, Chrissy. But hey, I tell you what, fair play for... I don't know who to congratulate more, you or me. We've done so well to get this far.
I know.
Congratulate each other.
It's one of those, they're just racking off week after week, and then it's only when you actually hit a milestone you actually suddenly realise. And if you go onto our YouTube page or where the podcasts are and you scroll through, it's mind blowing like how much we've crammed in. But yeah, what is it, like 2 and a bit years we've been doing it? So
is it really that long?
Like two years, and
I've had less committed relationships in this, man. This is terrible, Chrissy, man.
I know,
this is absolutely terrible. So what do we know? Well,
congratulations anyway. I'll toast you.
Yeah, over
what you toasting?
With our rich energy. There you are, we're corporate sellouts. I love it. There you go, mate. There you go. Cheers. But well, I think we should just start off with sheer honesty. To be fair, Chrissy, we obviously had a big plan for this show, didn't we? Would you like to form everyone the plan?
Yeah,
because like everyone's going to be listening to this now going, well, this is shite, why should we listen to the rest of it?
I know. Well, the plan is hopefully going to happen in the future, but I thought it would be mega for our 100th episode to get Neil Hodgson on, because he was number 100, but also to join with Chris Walker and sort of sit the two of them down. And obviously it's probably the most famous rivalry in BSB history.
See, I know nothing about that. I know, and you're looking at me thinking, how are you a motorcycle race fan without knowing of that? But I was really looking forward to actually hearing about the whole ins and outs of why it was the biggest rivalry.
Yeah, and hopefully we will get it sorted in the future, because it would be mega. But
we got binned off, didn't we? They couldn't make it. So the plan was to take him down to Donington, wasn't it? Was that the plan?
Yes, at the weekend. But yeah, Neil was just too busy. So like I said, hopefully we'll rearrange it for another time. And maybe if we could do 109 and have sort of Neil 100, Chris 9, and make it like that.
We're going to have to start getting... what's the word? Creative. Yeah. Very much creative.
Shout out to Lundy as well for, I think it was his suggestions.
No, very good. Hello, Lundy. How we doing, son? The trailer's still here. I'm trying to think, when did Lundy even build the trailer for this?
I cannot remember.
My God, it must have been 50s or something like that. So,
but anyway, we have actually got lots to talk about, because both of us were out racing for the first time at the weekend.
I tell you what, before we forget though, Stalker Walker, he's back in the game.
Yeah, it's
Let's
just
go straight in on that.
Just been announced today, actually, when we're recording this, but he's coming back to be racing on the solos in the Ducati Cup. And what a massive it's a massive scoop for the championship. Obviously they had John McGuinness there last year. I presume John will be staying in the championship.
I was about to say, because John's gone just quiet, hasn't he? Just so quiet, or unless you know something I don't.
No, but
he's just gone quiet, hasn't he?
Well, it's nothing much has been happening during lockdown and stuff.
Which is fair enough, but in fact, you tend to find everyone, like, especially with social media, now everyone just throws their plans out there, don't they? Mm-hmm. But I know John's been very quiet. You don't know if he is doing the tri-options or not.
I'm not sure, but I hope he is back in tri-options. And like I said, another massive name for the sort of young lads to be having a go at. So yeah, it'll be good spectacle.
Because have you got that Josh Day and Levi? It's not Levi. Is there a Levi?
Levi Day's in
Levi Day, sorry,
I believe this
right,
year.
Got you. So who was the lad who was winning? Was it? So has he stepped up from tri-options?
No, I believe Josh Day's staying in it.
Josh Day, right? I'm getting names mixed up.
Craig Neve in the mix.
Yes, aye.
Who else has been? There's been a few sort of competitive lads in it over the last few years.
So Stalker Walker's the kind of the head title, unless John McGuinness, typically, because we're always a week behind on this show, no doubt. The second we stop recording this, it'll get regurgitated straight out there going, John McGuinness is doing this, and then we're back in time yet again. Chrissy, classic.
I'm confident he'll be back in it. I've not heard
I hope
otherwise.
I hope he is, because people are missing him, like.
But yeah, one of the sort of main talking points for the topic is we're both were out on track for the first time this year on big track.
I was getting in your way. That's what I was bloody doing. I'm telling you.
And we were down at No Limits. Obviously, for myself, it was the first time on the new ZX10.
How then?
And what's that?
What's it like then?
It was good. We did actually book a track day on the Thursday beforehand, but we only actually did a few sessions and we had a problem with the bike, and so they had to take it back to the workshop and get it fixed. But over the course of the weekend, we had a really good time. Went at the endurance race, so we did a little. I think it was something like a 15-minute qualifying each, and then we got 2 30-minute stints in the race, so like pretty good track time. But it was very, very much just thrown in at the deep end, like hardly sat on the bike, and it was like straight into a competitive race. So there was no messing about, but it worked out really well.
And who was in your team again?
It was me, Croy, and Matt Truelove, so like my teammates from last year.
What was your team name again?
It was Crow Performance / Motorbike Pod.
Oh, I thought it was Cheetah. So what's all this about? So hold on, you led it, you won it, and then you got disqualified, son.
Yeah, so
what's all that about, youngin?
From we qualified on second on the grid, but we started last because Phil was running Dunlops, and obviously we're there. We're not competing for the No Limits Championship. We're just there for track time, and like Croy runs Dunlops in all the racing that he does. So obviously he was just running his Dunlops, knowing the fact like we weren't getting the points. The idea wasn't to like try and get trophies or whatever. It was just track time. So so despite qualifying second, we had to start. I think it was 50th or 52nd. And to be fair, by the time my first stint came around, I was the third rider. By the time I started, I think we were battling for the lead. So Phil and Matt did all the sort of hard work getting back up to the lead. And then, we held on and we ended up winning by almost a lap in the end. So, yeah, it was for me personally, the first time on the ZX10, I was like really, really happy with it. And then I also, Phil wanted to have a few drinks with his friends on Saturday night, so he gave me his entry for the Sunday for the 2 sprint races as well. So I managed to get a bit more track time, and again had a really good time. Got my lap times. The lap time that I did in the second race was exactly the same lap time as what I did in the first race at BSB this year, which was a 108.4.
Because what's the fastest you've gone round there?
I've done a 107.8, I think, is my fastest.
Wept.
But that was in a qualifying. Race times is like pretty low, like low 108 is good for me. So yeah, I was really, really happy to get, somewhere near where I needed to be. And we've hardly changed anything with the bike. It's literally came with the recommended settings, and in total we've only done about 5 or 6 sessions on it. So we've made very limited changes. We had a little teething problem with the electronics on the bike, so we just turned the electronics completely off.
Full whiskey bye.
The whole time we were at Donington, so we've not even started sort of tinkering with that. So to just jump on the bike and to be doing. I mean, the race that I did a 108.40 and I started last at BSB and I finished 5th. So to just jump on and do that straight away at a club race where you're always slower anyway. The track's a little bit dirtier. You're not really up to speed. So I was like really, really chuffed to bits. A little bit of work to do on the bike still, but I'm sure like once we make a few tweaks, it'll be mint. Like
I was about to say, daft question: does anyone get into the 107s at BSB?
What do you mean?
At those times, in the race, you're saying the qualifying time. How many people actually dip into that 107s in a race?
Yeah, so
weather dependent, obviously.
It's funny the race that there was a few of us broke the lap record. It actually got red flagged about 3 laps in, and we had to restart the last thing. So myself and Danny Kent both did. I think it was something like 107.6s. In a race, but then it got red flagged. But yeah,
is that the record then for stock 1000?
Lap records, yeah, something like a 107.6-ish, something like that.
And you've got that?
Danny Ken pipped us, I think, for that one. But
so you're both in the 6s.
Do you know what? I'm not even sure if it still counts because we did 3 laps and it got red flagged, and then the race reran as a new race, so it might not even stand that lap record. I'm not sure. But yeah, the race I won, I did a 108.1. And then at the weekend, I did a 108.4 on a brand new bike. So, yeah.
Full whiskey with no electronics.
Also, just a quick note, I was running the new Superstock tyres, which are supposed to be...
I was about to say, yeah.
They're supposed to be a bit slower. It's the tyre that we ran at Silverstone and Thruxton traditionally. So, I think they're a bit more hard wearing. They're the normal tyre is so like the SC2s that we've traditionally ran are 255s, where these are 260s.
Giving you more ride height.
Yeah, the diameter of the back wheels increased by 14 mil, I think it is. So it increases the radius is 7 mil higher. So it effectively lifts the bike 7 mil, the ride height. But it's not actually 7 mil on the side of the tyre. So it does change it slightly. But usually people just, adjust the ride height a little bit, and it's sort of pretty much the same settings.
Because what I learned over the weekend is people ride the Kawasaki's more than their asses, but Kawasaki keep making keep changing their mind, based upon Jonathan Ray. He says chuck the weight over the front one year, then chuck the weight over the back. Speaking of chucking weight, you know who's chucked a load? Captain Kawasaki.
What's that?
He looks like an absolute dripping Glaswegian smackhead in mine, doesn't he? He's as thin as that can of pop. And he's smashed his ankle, so if you're listening, hello, Captain Kawasaki. You haven't had a shout out in a while, but my God, he's looking thin. But
it's a shame they...
did he spuff himself on a bloody mountain bike?
I believe so.
Oh, God, if that's not common knowledge, I'm so glad I got that out there. Seriously, fast lad on tarmac, and the lad can't even ride a push bike. Gets in.
So he's...
I've jinxed myself now. I'm going to just took the jam right out of my own donut there.
It's a shame. It's a shame for them, because obviously they're all set to do... I think they were doing the World Endurance this year.
You're joking?
And I seen... During the race, actually, I'm pretty sure they were using the... change like the practice and the proper wheel change a little bit like Joe Ackroyd's team. They're the British endurance team.
I've got to give him another quick shout out. By the way, he went through me like a cheap slapper on one corner. Joe, you're definitely inspirational, because you're getting a portion next time. You'd be sitting here giggling.
Where did he pass you?
I think it was on a left. There's not many lefts.
Once was it? Fast left up there.
All I know is I remember reading Joe Ackroyd across his arse, and I'm going, "You'll be loving this." I did like 70 odd. I did just shy of 70 odd laps on an SC1. I mean, that was entertaining, just all over the place. It was great. Definitely learned a lot about the tyre. But right, Howie, then, what's it like compared to your Morello bike? So you won BMW last year, and the year before that was the Morello bike, and you were absolutely plagued with bad luck. There was nothing else but the word bad luck. It was just silly little things, nothing to do with Morello or yourself. It was just shit hit the fan at the wrong time for you.
Well, but beginning of that year, we had a few issues. But towards the end of the year, the bike was mint. A lot of people keep obviously asking us the difference between the old ZX10 and the new ZX10. You obviously you can read the specs and see what the theoretical differences are. But in all honesty, because I've been on the BM in between, it's so difficult to back them, because I'm trying to remember a bike off a year ago.
Chris, you're an educated man. Do your best here. Come on, so just pull it out your
ass. In all seriousness, when you first jump on a bike at the beginning of the year, everything feels like ridiculously fast. So if you're doing the difference between, like say 200 horsepower and 205 horsepower a year apart, after months of not riding, it's so difficult to be precise. But all I can say is the lap times speak for themselves. It was a really strong start for the bike, and I feel really comfortable on it. It was when I first got on the Morello bike, so that was in 2019. We were plagued with problems with the throttle, so like the pickup of the throttle. And it took us like a good few rounds to get that sorted, because basically there was nothing, and then when the power came in, it was very like aggressive, and it's difficult to ride basically. This bike hasn't got that problem at all. It's got like a very direct throttle,
it's
so
got
1
a different
to 1
throttle housing, hasn't it? So they've immediately attacked the problem, haven't they? So MSS there.
MSS have made one, but I haven't actually got that one yet. We've just got a stand throttle. But I think the problem that they have had is for the road bike to turn off the cruise control. It's got like you go past, so you go to 0 throttle, and then there's like another 10 degrees or whatever you roll to shut the cruise control off. But we've adapted the throttle, and we don't have that overrun type of thing. Because so it's like soon as you touch the gas, the power is instant.
because MSS had a full different housing for the thing. It looked like, to be honest, mate, you looked at that and went, oh no, you're gonna have to, like, you know, when you buy a bike, you have to buy this, and like all race bikes, you have to buy the add-ons, don't you? That's the fact of racing.
Yeah.
But no, that's good news that you haven't had to fuck on with that yourself properly. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So,
no, like I said, it was other than the fact that we're having problems with the electronics, so we turned them off completely. Other than that, everything
you're very proud of that, aren't you, son? Yeah, full whiskey, good on you, son.
Yeah, it's just the fact of what it was. So
the bike's holding me back, Brent. The bike's holding me back, lad. Just give me 200 ponies. Wild, my man.
Once we do
going down the plains.
Once we do get that sorted and get the electronics, it'll be a very well-rounded bike. There's a few times when I was racing where, for example, coming on the start-finish straight, it's like left-hander. The track starts to slip away, and there's a very easy high side. So I was knowing the fact that I didn't have the comfort of having a bit of safety. You know, you're very respectful with it. To be honest, Dom, I actually prefer riding without sometimes, because when you've got traction control, you almost feel like you don't have to be as respectful. So, for example, when I did ride it, the traction control was very intrusive, and you're kind of coming out the corners and you just go full throttle, and you're like waiting. You're like impatiently waiting for the bike to react, where when you turn it off, you're the person in charge, so you're on the limit and you're like constantly on your metal, so you're actually more focused.
And to be honest, that's for your mate, that's great to hear, because at the end of the day, that's superbike riding.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That is, because obviously superbike, they take away all the bells and whistles, don't they? And you just ride it on the whiskey. So the fact that you prefer that, you know, someone just needs to truck a motorcycle at you now, simple as that. Mm-hmm. But what was I going to say before? It's totally gone from us. Totally gone. That's it. Hold on, that's it. No one really cares what you think about the bike. What about our main man? The main man, the man of the paddock. Piggy, what does he make of it?
Yeah,
he's the one working on it. You're just parading. Speaking of parading, right? I'm going to have a personal dig at you straight now, right? And I'm going to highlight a situation that needs addressing massively, right? Now, you're Chrissy Rouse, British Superstock champion, and you've got a career miles ahead of you, and you're only going to get faster. Blah 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 blah. Smoke up your arse job. Now, young'uns are going to be growing up and having posters of you on the wall and everything like that. Have you ever thought of that concept, Chrissy? Like the fact that young'uns are going to grow up and want to be Chrissy Rouse. Have you ever thought of that?
I don't know where this is going.
No, but have you ever thought of that? Now, you need to start thinking like that, because when I saw my mate, my now ex-mate after this one, walking down the paddock, right, in short shorts with Keck underpants with Tiger King, right, up to his kneecaps, right, wearing £80, who wears £80 Ugg slippers, period, walking down the paddock, right, with his Chasin racing cap, with his farmer tan on the go, right, just swanning down the paddock, and I'm just looking, and I'm going, oh, don't come talk to me. Don't come talk to me. And you're like, hello, Dom. Like, Chrissy, can you keep walking? I'm no fashion guru. As you can tell what I'm wearing tonight if you check out the YouTube, right? I have no fashion sense whatsoever, son. But I wanted someone to back their lorry up over you at that point. So you've got to start thinking about what you're like. My God, mate. I'm totally jealous. I'm poking fun because I'm jealous, because there's no way on God's green earth you'd catch me looking like that walking down the paddock.
Do you know what? I tell you what, how...
Like, hello, Dom. Yeah, we're on the pace. Woo!
How good was it just to be back at the race? Do you know, the instant vibe, soon as you got there, everyone setting the garages up, the awnings, just walking around the paddock, seeing everybody again, you know, barbecues on a night time, all, you know, sat around having drinks. There's such a buzz in the air. It was really special to be back at racing, and it was just so good. I
tell you what, one of my favourite moments of that entire endurance race is obviously, you know, they put all the bikes out in the front of the garage, everyone gets the photos, and everyone's having it, like, literally everyone's grabbing a beer, they're setting to get in, and everyone literally totally forgot about the shit the shit year that we've all gone through with COVID. Mm-hmm. And everyone was just like, this is what life's about. The sun was out, everyone was having the crack, and then all of a sudden, bing bong, it's like, I don't know who it was, someone in the office going, I would like to remind you, we're in a global pandemic and we must have social distancing. The world's biggest bubble popper right there. And everyone just went, oh, for fuck's sake, and just walked off. I was absolutely howling laughing. But like you say, Chrissy, I couldn't agree more. It was just, you know what, it was like returning home, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Just people that you haven't seen in ages, and the sunshine always makes a difference.
For me, just being away in the trailer and just, being...
We've been away in this trail every bloody weekend, so that can't be it, son. It must be back at the paddock.
Now, obviously, it's been all sort of me talking about, the new bike so far. You've been out on both the new... your new Kawasaki ZX10, and also you had a shot on the twin. Do you want to first talk about, because you went to Oulton Park on a track day last week? How did you find bedding back into the big bike?
I rode it like an absolute Jezebel, to be fair. Oulton Park No, it was a cold start, but it turned out absolutely lovely. And I tell you what, right, all serious, when you meet people going, and when someone generally says they're fast, sometimes it's not always the case. That is the absolute right, like, truth of it. Now, Chris, the C in DC Racing, right? I've never seen him on a motorcycle, nothing, and I've just had the crack, and he knows how to build a good bike and the whole atmosphere of it. And he's like, yeah, I know. He's never said the words "I'm fast." He's always gone, "I know what I'm doing on a motorcycle," right? Tipping in the Shell corner. Probably his second lap in, my God, that lad can ride a motorcycle, mind. Absolutely hammering round. And I just went, I've got to pull my finger out my arse. And I didn't, to be fair. I really didn't. I rode far too cautiously. Mike, my teammate, he was really feeling it. He went out for a couple of track days prior at Cadwell, but it was cold. Like, they were bombing around on wets and inters. And I tell you what, there's a daft question to throw in. How many people have been injured? Have we actually had quite a low, fresh touch wood, for the love of God, but I haven't heard of many people really crashing badly. Mm-hmm. Have you?
I know a few.
You know a few?
Mm-hmm.
All right, there you go then. I have no idea, but no, so, because the thing is, because it's been such lovely weather, but it has been cold, hasn't it? And it's caught a lot of people out. And I remember going around Oulton Park, but it was just, I haven't been on a bike. I did half an hour last year. It snetted in on a big bike and I hopped on that thing and I just went, what the hell am I doing? Riding it totally wrong. Everything like that. Too anxious. I thought, if I can't wheel this bike, it's not very good with the lads. But no, to be fair, the first time out on the bike, it was great. Absolutely great. The atmosphere is absolutely awesome in that team. It's just full of... They're serious on the track and they're just piss takers off the track. They're absolutely brilliant. It's a team that I really want to stay with, and they're absolutely class, man. Absolutely class. But... just happy to be back on bikes.
I know you're saying about being too cautious, but you cannot really be too cautious on your first track day of the year, especially when it's cold. You're much better starting off slow and sort of bedding in rather than vice versa. Speaking of the weekend, went out for qualifying. There was no Friday practice, so people were going straight into qualifying, and there was within
wasn't it?
Before the racing started, there was a good, I would say, 5 to 10 bikes properly destroyed. I'm not sure if anyone was injured, but there were some massive crashes.
There was a track day on the Thursday that you were at, weren't you?
Yeah.
Forrest Dunn, if you are listening to this, mate, I know he's by the way, give Forrest a shout on social media. He transports bikes all over the country, and he's because he races himself, he really does look after the products. But anyway, Forrest, he was a victim of Craner curves, and
Chris Green did exactly the same thing as well.
God, I tell you, he was racing in the endurance race under Chelsea's legacy. What a lovely tribute that was.
That a fantastic livery on the bike as well, and exactly the same thing. Just tipping in the crane and not pushing at all, and just the front washing out, and people just writing bikes off. Lee Jackson, who was the highest. He was the highest Kawasaki in British Superbikes last year, and he was out on his mate's bike. And
it was his sponsor's bike, wasn't it?
Barry's sponsor, Lloyd.
Jesus.
And same again. I've seen the crash. Didn't look like he was doing anything wrong whatsoever. Just tipped into Schwantz, which is fast, 4th, possibly 5th gear. Tipped the front in, took the front, and the bike cartwheeled up and down, and you just think, you work so hard over the full winter.
My God.
And it's not even a mistake. You might
snaps.
not even do anything wrong, and it just goes. And I tell you what, I'm going to be honest as well. One of my first laps in the race, so I just got out, maybe only the 4th session I've had on the bike, and I came out straight into me and Leon Geacock were sort of battling for the race win on track. So he came past as I went out pit lane. So I could see the race leader. So I stuck in behind him. And a few laps later, you come out of turn one, red gate, second. And then you go third, fourth, and then I go fifth. And there was some slow people in front, so we'll shut the throttle. And as I shut the throttle right on the crest of the hill, probably about 130 mile an hour, shut the throttle, and the front went. Do-do-do-do. And honestly, I dug my knee in, lifted the bike up, got down craner. I must have been white as a sheet. And honestly, the rest of I felt sick to the bottom of my stomach.
Was that your bike then? Because you've got your own bike, haven't you?
Yeah, the team. Yeah. I'm going to be getting a practice bike. That's not actually sorted yet. So that's like the Stouff team one.
Right, that's the Stouff bike. Right, got you. Right. I was about to say that would have been very good with your sponsors, would it? Cartwheel and Droof, have some of that.
I know exactly, but I was so lucky. It was still in the endurance race actually, but it was my second stint. I was just behind Barry Teasdale, another northeast lad, coming onto the back straight, and in my head, I was thinking to myself, oh, this will be a good comparison, like the old Kawasaki versus the new one on the straight.
Because he's on the red top, isn't he? Yeah, last year's model, yeah.
So we're both kind of ran in deep at Coppice and then turned the bike, picked it up, and as we were both properly on the throttle, someone in front of us went on the inside of the grass, which is like, when you're going around a right-hander, you naturally go out towards the left. Well, the guy in front was going closer and closer to the right. It was such an odd crash. And he went on the grass, obviously crashed, but his bike then came like skittling onto the track. So Barry sat up and sort of hit the brakes, and I just had no time whatsoever to react. So I just biffed them from behind. That then put me on the grass on the left, so I'm like all over the place. Got back,
this is mid-race, endurance race.
The brake lever guard was up at 90 degrees, and when I came back, the front mud guard was cracked, and the whole of the side was black. Yeah, and I must say special thank you to do you know Danny?
Barry Teasdale for keeping it upright.
Do you know Danny Wright, my crew chief this year?
No, I've not met him.
He's got an Instagram and stuff, DW competition. If you want to check him out.
Boom.
But I must say a huge thanks, not just for the weekend, but in all the preparation to get the bike ready, because I'm saying like how good the bike was just to jump on, but that's
a lot of work behind the scenes.
Not taken for granted the hours and hours of preparation that on the dyno and running it in and mapping it and all of the rest of the things that I have no involvement with. But when I get to the track, the bike's mint. So I must say special thanks to Danny, because he's done a really good job.
I'll tell you what, like speaking of thank yous, I must thank Barry Teasdale as well, because on the Kawasaki's, you have to change through the ECU on the kit loom and ECU. You have to change the gearing internally. It doesn't take long. You can buy this kit lead, and Barry, saviour of the meeting. He really was. He saved your life literally, and he saved my arse. So we went out and qualifying on the total wrong gearing. It was fucking miles. I was literally going around first and second. I don't know what gearing was on it. It was not even TT gearing. It was much higher than that. And so Barry, thank you very much if you are listening to this. Thank you very much for sorting the bike out.
And speaking of losing weight as well, Barry's dad, Hugh's, I think he's lost about 4 or 5 kilograms.
He's trying to keep Barry in tyres. Nicking on horses. And
he's been doing Christian's fitness.
Is that what he's been doing?
He's been proper smashing it, but he's looking so much better. Good on him.
Christian's been busy motocrossing as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's
been out every time. I tell you what, hold on, before we move on, move on to the next bit of the endurance race, I must apologise to every other BSB rider there, because the grid was rammed. Tim Neve, I got in his way every time. You had loads of Rhodes lads there. Gary Johnson was there. You had this is terrible. Steve Hennigan, he made an appearance from Reactive Parts.
Him and Bob Collins have got
that's it.
The retro Fireblades.
Beautiful looking. It looks mint. And who else was there as far as the fast lads? There was loads of fast lads. I'll tell you who was Danny Buchan was at the Oulton test day. My God, it was absolutely flying. I tell you, in the qualifying speeds, I dug in a little bit deeper, and I was just still a bit get the violin out and get the excuse book written. But no, I was still just being a bit too cautious. But I think my qualifying speed and your qualifying speed, I think I was only 1.5 off you.
Where's this at?
Donington Park. 1.6. No, can't be that. What was your qualifying speed?
Qualifying lap?
Yeah.
I did a 109.
No, I've got my facts wrong. Anyway, I tell you what makes me laugh though. I was obviously still a country mile away from you, but the speed difference is noticeable, and I've got a lot to learn on that big bike. And DC had given me that opportunity. But who else was there then? As far as the
well, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Obviously, Lee Jackson was supposed to be there, but he had that crash. There was bloody loads of fast lads.
So speaking, obviously, you've mentioned about Oulton Park, but then going into the endurance race, how did you find riding the big bike?
Oh, I tell you what, just build into it and just did loads of laps on knack tyres. I've got a massive. Oh yeah, I wrote a note of it. I had to write a note. I am getting professional at this, Chrissy. I'm getting professional. Here we go. Team CT Racing on BMW Gen 3s. Do you know how much of a thank you Mike Norbury owes you? It's unreal. So we qualified 12th. Like Chris actually went out and banged in a fast lap, and me and Mike really plugged away throughout the race. But anyway, we pulled up on the grid, and Mike was like, "Oh, Dad, the bike feels a bit weird." I'm like, "All right, no problem. Don't worry about it, son." So we qualified 12th anyway, and I get a tap on the shoulder from this massive. Blue lad, and I'm like, what do you want, Papa Smurf? And he goes, I think he's got a flat tyre. It was down to the rim, mate, on the front tyre. I don't know how Mike didn't pick that up. It's amazing what adrenaline does, mind, doesn't it? You just think, just get in the race. So we had to pull off the grid, and so me and Mike are pushing the bike off, so I had to jump on mine, no tyre pressures, check, nothing, because Mike was going to do the 40 minutes. Was it 40? Yeah, full tank. We were just doing 40 minutes as much as we can. No, it wouldn't be 40 minutes.
Yeah, it is about.
Yeah, it would have been 40 minutes on the tank. So pulled off, and I started from pit lane, and it was min. So I think the first session we worked up, got up to 15th, and then went out, did a swap, and then we just stayed around that time. And me and Mike and Chris, we just got faster and faster and faster. But my God, that was bloody lucky, mind. Imagine tipping in at a Le Mans start with a front flat tyre. Yeah, there wouldn't have been much of a DC jigsaw left, would there?
Definitely not.
Absolutely howling.
And speaking of down at that week, at the weekend, you were booked on for the endurance race and then had nothing to do on the Sunday, and your boss, Dean, very kindly gave up his seat on the twin. And
Dean's more laid back deflated. Like, he just couldn't be asked.
It was a hell of a day for you. Obviously, the first time you'd been on that bike. I know you do a lot of twin riding, but on Dean's bike, that was your first taste, and went out. You starting back the grid. How many was it? It was a full grid one at like 40 or something.
No, 40 odd, 43 or something like that. There was I was trying to remember. It was 52 competitors in the endurance race, and then there was like 41 in that. No, typically Chris qualified on pole. So them two have got like a little they're best mates, and they've got this mint rivalry crack. It is class. And so Chris bought a bike from Kevin Watt, and that bike was built by Jessup's family, and that if you type in Michael Rutter TT on board, you will see how quick that thing is. Rutter just catches Jessup in the corners, just closes the door on him. But that ER6 just sits, and it physically drives away from a factory pattern.
I remember watching at the Northwest. The Northwest that Joey Thompson was on the pattern.
Yeah,
and he was pulling the gap on everyone on the straights. I remember watching Jessup in that race, and Jessup's was definitely the fastest ER6, I think. Yeah, but yeah, so that's what Chris has got. And there was a big talking point whether you starting from the back, you would catch Chris, who was on pole. But unfortunately, he had a problem right at the beginning of the race. But you smashed your way through the field, and that first race from back of the grid, you ended up winning by, what was it? 10 seconds or something?
A little bit less, I think.
Was it around 10 seconds, but absolutely demolished. And you started off your lap times, I think the first race was in the 1:15s, which was strong for a super twin. But then the next race you went out and again started this one from pit lane, and you got into the 14s, low 14s. And when we were checking I think that was the no limits lap record.
No, we actually did the homework on that. So the Thundersport lap record was a 14-0. It was 14-0. But what we found out was actually Jamie Coward did a 13-8 in no limits August last year or July last year or sometime like that. Anyway, and Jamie Coward, to be blunt, Jamie Coward is Mr. Super Twin, like he really is. You know, he ran up Michael Dunlop at the TT, and he got a podium at the Northwest and a podium at the Ulster, and he's got the outright lap record. Kevin Watt has been begging for me to correct this statement. Jamie Coward's got the outright lap record on a Super Twin round Oliver's Mount as well. You know, so like you say, to hop on the bike, and to be honest,
but you then went out in the last race and did a 13.5. Was it
13.5? Yeah.
So you were 0.3 under Jamie's lap record and half a second under the Thundersport lap record. For anybody listening to this who knows how competitive the Super Twin race is at Thundersport, that with the likes of Johnny Towers did it for years. There's a lot of people that put a lot of effort and money into racing Super Twins, and to jump on your bike for your first time ever on that bike and smash the Thundersport lap record by half a second on a lap that's just over a minute. So like half a second is absolutely massive. Half a second in super stock is the difference between qualifying on pole and qualifying 18th.
That's mad. That is mad.
It's a tiny lap. It's similar to sort of like Brands Indy. I know it's a little bit longer than Brands Indy, but not by that much. So to go out and to do what you did was literally unbelievable.
It was like, for me, it's, you know what, it frustrates me that. Not that, I mean, the fact that I need to figure out a way to transfer that confidence on the Twin, because like last year with the Cowton race and who I'm on again for this year for the roads and any short circuits I want to do, you know, like I say, Dean, I was very, very, very lucky that Dean, to be blunt, didn't want to ride that day. And he said, go on, Dom, have a go on this, see what you make of it. And it was, I tell you what, I think it was it was Rob Hodgson's bike. Rob Hodgson actually built that for the TT, so it's got pedigree. The bike's it's a top bike, it really is. And I rode them all last year with Cowtons, and I've really got the confidence with that bike, really got the confidence with it. And then I just, got on it, and it was the first time I've actually been on a bike where the team owner and the owner of the motorcycle has gone, don't bend it. Now, don't get me wrong, the Cowton team, I never like that, you know, but you always have that little bit of that reserve saying, you know, you don't break someone else's bike, you know, just look after what you've got, be appreciative of what you got. But you've got Dean and Chris looking at you going, stop fucking about, get your finger out your arse, we don't care, you know, just go for it, try and get the lap record. And I'm like, this is incredible. I've never had that, and that being able to get on and take the financial worry out of it in my mind was a huge breakdown for us. But like I was saying to you, you know, I just need to put that confidence from the Super Twin into a big bike and learn how to ride it. And my biggest upset was not being able to walk a lap with you, because even speaking there on the night time was a huge confidence boost for me, because it was just like, you passed me, I believe you passed me twice, and that brief moment for you, you know, you just saw what I was doing wrong, and you think, well, Dominic, if you run into there deeper, and you say to yourself, I am running in deep, but you're like, no, look, son, there's deeper, then you have to go it, fuck the armbands off and jump in the deep end, son.
Yeah.
And those couple of things, I went out on the Sunday on the Twin, just went, let's put this in the practice, and it was just bang, 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 and you've said it on the podcast loads. I say loads, you probably haven't even said it, but your fastest times and your race wins, they felt backwards in the way of, you haven't had to scratch like mad. You haven't, like, you know, you've had harder races for like 10th and 8th and 7th positions at BSB. When you get out in front, you have the rhythm. It feels easy. Mm-hmm. And they say that about TT wins. Lee Johnson said that about the 600 last, like when he won the TT. He went, it didn't feel fast.
Mm-hmm. We've spoke about this a few times, and you know, recently when we had Brogan on the podcast.
Aye.
And one thing that was so clear to see on the endurance races, because obviously there's 52 of us on track around the lap times just like 1 minute sort of 9s, 1 minute 10s. So the track is so busy. So sometimes you're passing like, sometimes I would do maybe 8 or 10 bikes in one lap. And what's so clear to see, and if I had a GoPro on, you'd be able to see this. Some of the times I'm passing people who are maybe like 4 or 5 seconds a lap slower, and they're a lot faster on the edge of the tyre. And a classic case of this was at Coppice. I know we spoke about this, but a few times I was tipping into Coppice, and so I've caught someone from like miles back, broke into Coppice, and as I'm into the corner, they start pulling away from us on the edge of the tyre, and I'm like sort of wincing because they're carrying a massive lean angle and asking for like quite a lot of throttle for that lean angle. And so they maybe pull, I maybe give them like 50 yards mid-corner, but then I make like 150 yards down the straight. And for those people, I wish I could sort of pinpoint them and just say like, look, like go and do a day's coaching with someone who's good, like Steve, and you'll be so much like they're so close to crashing on the side of the tyre, but they're like maybe 6 seconds a lap off the pace because they're pushing in the wrong areas. And sometimes it's like, sometimes you catch people and you're like, you just know it's a matter of time before they have a massive high side, but they don't know that. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you invest like in yourself a little bit, it's you're going to be faster and saving a lot of money. Like,
well, no, I totally agree. And I think a lot of riders, like from like track day riders to club to British up over, will be like really appreciative of that. It's the fact that you think, well, when you don't see a lap time, you just think, oh, crap, what am I doing? Why am I bothering? And then
they are near the limit of grip on that corner, so they think there's no more time to be made.
Exactly.
And it's not from like carrying a bigger lean angle or getting on the throttle harder. It's like it's changing the tactic of like how you approach that corner to make it safer and faster. But yeah, like I said, there's you see that all the time. Did you have any close? Obviously, with lots of people on the track, did you have any close? Did anyone like sit you up or scratch fairings with you or anything?
Joe Ackroyd, you'd be laughing again.
Was it a close pass? Was it?
No. Tim Neve, I just think he fancies us. To be fair, the little ginger farmer. I think he just tried to get closer and closer. I think he's trying to jump in my pocket, the little pixie. No, he'd be laughing at that. I hope he's laughing at that. But no, it was good. It really is good because you just look at it and you go, you can learn from it.
I had one with, I forgot the guy's name. I was in a garage with him last year at Snetterton. I felt terrible for this, but it's one of those where it's you just make mistakes. And he's like a stocky lad. Him and his missus clearly go to the gym. He's got a beautiful bright orange bike. And I caught him through McLean's, and then you've got that short run up to Coppice. And you kind of anticipate, from how fast you've caught people, you anticipate where they're going to break and then how you can get past them. So I thought, right, I'll just go up the inside of him here. And so in my head, I'd committed. I was definitely going through, but I was expecting him to break like a lot earlier. And he was carrying so much speed in, but I'd already made the decision to pass him on the inside. So if I'd backed out of it, like I would have probably tagged his back wheel and we both would have went down. So I just, it got to like the top where you sort of fully committed in the corner, and I just had to let the brakes off and sit him up going through. And then I stuck a hand out, and then afterwards I seen him in the paddock, and he's like I said, he's a proper stocky bloke. So I just don't know if
he's going to hammer you into the floor like a fence post.
Yeah, I did think he was going to have a bit of a go at us, but he just laughed and just said it was all right. But
don't let it happen again. Chrissy Rouse, the 1,000-yard lunge.
That's the one. But one other thing that I just quickly want to mention from that weekend was while I was down there on the Friday, I had a bit of time to kill, so I went to our friend Bob, Irish Bob, at the machine shop, and I wanted a steel shoe for flat track, so I went down and I made my own one, which I can't tell you how much I enjoyed. As you know, I've got a bit of toolitis. I'm not the best with the tools, but
toolitis. Everyone's got a label these days, haven't they? There you go.
Do you know what? I can't tell you how much I enjoyed going. Started with just a sheet metal of steel, cut it like did a penciled a stencil around it, cut it out. And then made little, like every 1 inch I made a little slit, then bent it round on the vise, welded it all around the outside.
So when I was asking for, knowledge and learning how to go around Donington Park quickly, you're off making a steel shoe. Cheers, mate. I don't blame you, but it looks belting.
I've got it here. So on the YouTube, if you can see. And for my first attempt at welding, I am mega impressed with myself. So little catch for the toe here, and then got a little strap on the back there. It's nicely sort of. I've been told that you need to get like a nice round on the like
the
round
curve,
the bottom,
so it doesn't dig in.
And absolutely loved it. And I tell you what,
how's it coming along the bike?
The flat track.
Aye.
Yeah, coming on well. I've my wheels coming this week, and then that's it. I've got everything sorted.
Fan dabby dozy.
But I will just say, when I was down at the bike shop, the machine shop, sorry, it was such a mega atmosphere. Loads of people, not just bikers. There was 2 people there fitting out campers with the partners. There was a guy making tables. There was, just
drift cars. There's all sorts.
There was a guy that does like stunt, like backflips and stuff. He was making something, and everyone's, you've got your rock music on, and everyone's just cracking on. And honestly, I so wish there was one of those
up north,
near here, because it's so difficult to work on bikes and stuff and have all the tools you need and all the materials and stuff. But yeah, I absolutely loved going. So shout out to Bob at the machine shop.
There we go. Oh yeah, what was that? I was going to say something before. It's totally. This is the problem. We've got to that stage in the podcasts now where we've just got that much to try and cram in such a short period of time. It's unreal. Oh, right, that's it. So there was 2 teams with DC Racing. So you had me, Mike Norbury, and Chris Barnes on one, DC 1. And DC 2 Racing, you had Dean, Scott, and this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. He's an
What's terrible? You forgot his name.
I've totally forgot his name. Mate, that is absolutely disgusting. We're going to have to, no, but all serious, I know, just giggle away to yourself. This is terrible. But we're going to have him on as a guest. He was like MX1 quality, and he was paralysed from the waist down. Totally adapted R1, right? Like, he does everything off the controls on the front. And he was in their team, and I tell you what, he was banging out 14s, 13s. I kid you not.
Oh dear.
And he's just an absolute animal. And the best thing is, right, in all seriousness, we're going to have to get him talked into coming on to a guest, because just when you speak to him, it's just, you've
got to have some attitude and some determination to...
He's going back into motocross. Paralysed, man. He's going back into motocross. Like fully adapted, like Velcro's keeping him on the bike and stuff. Where, my God, that boy can ride a motorcycle. It's unreal. But like, this is terrible. And if he is listening to this, I'm so sorry, but we're going to have to get him on as a guest. He's probably definitely not going to come on now, because I've just totally forgotten his name. I'm so sorry, but absolutely mental.
Just a few more things in the news. We've had MotoGP at Portmail. The weekend we were at Donington, the MotoGP was back on. Portmail, what a track. And obviously, I raced European stock around there. Marquez was returning, and obviously all the news and headlines were around what he was doing. He was
missed 2 or 3 rounds.
He missed all of last year, didn't he? And then this year he missed both the 2 rounds at Qatar, like the opening 2 rounds. So came back, obviously from like a massive injury, and he did really, really well. He qualified. I think he was something like 6th.
No.
He was in the, do you know how the top 10 or top 9 go through for like the last qualifying? He got into that, and he was, highest Honda, like really, really strong. But during practice and qualifying, he was only doing a few laps at a time, and he was clearly in pain. So the question,
coming off the pegs and everything.
Question was whether he was going to be able to do race distance. Also, just the Honda in general looks really difficult to ride at the moment. Nobody's really doing anything on it. It looks very uncomfortable. They have lots of moments, and same for Marquez. He was out. His riding style is usually, finding the limits loose, elbow down, like massive saves. But obviously at the moment he's very vulnerable, and he can't really afford to be having those sort of crashes. So yeah, to do what he did, given the circumstances, was phenomenal. He finished,
got beaten up, didn't he?
I think he finished 9th in the race, didn't he? Top 10 in a MotoGP.
Definitely top 10, and like you say, an outstanding achievement. But I tell you what, they didn't have to take advantage of his weakness, didn't they, the other riders? Because we were watching it between, there was like the lunch break, and it was just dead quiet in the paddock, and everyone was just glued to their phones watching that race, and everyone took an opportunity to try and sit him up, duff him, tap him, weren't they? It was just like a prison yard rather than a road race.
The rest of the race was pretty decent. There was a few crashes towards the end, but
Aye.
like Zarco, for example, and because Zarco was leading the championship up to that point. Jack Miller crashed again. Jack's having such a hard time at the moment.
It's not going well for him. Stepping up from satellite onto the factory, it's not looking our clever like.
It hasn't, no. And it was another race win for Yamaha. Yamaha have won all 3 races so far. With
Shit, they bet they have, haven't they?
Quartararo won, and it was Bagnaia and Mir. So the young guns coming through. And Moto2, Sam Lowe's unfortunately didn't finish the race after winning.
I haven't seen any of it.
After winning the first 2 races, he got a poor start from pole position and had a huge high side on the first turn. It almost looked
from a bad start as well.
Yeah, so off pole, he was like something like 6th into turn 1,
and then high sided,
tipped in, and the rear came round on him and just threw him over the bars.
Do you reckon that was just anger on the throttle from a bad start? Do you think, or
it looked off throttle? It looked off throttle as he was going in, but
cold tyre kind of stuff. Wait, hold on, it's cold tyre, no way.
Difficult to say. I think it's under those circumstances of a race and the pressure and stuff. If you do have a bad start, you instinctively want you
want to compensate, don't you? Adrenaline takes over.
And it's hard to say. I haven't watched it in that much detail, to be honest, but it's a real big shame for him to crash out. But still,
is he injured?
Doing very well. No, I don't believe he is. I hope not. Anyway,
good.
And we had our man Pedro Acosta winning the Moto3 race again.
He doesn't even look old enough to like boobs, mate. Never mind ride a motorcycle like that. Stand up wheelies and all sorts. What a rider, man!
Spain have definitely got the next superstar of MotoGP. Potentially,
they've got to, haven't they?
He just looks so natural, so on top. And for me, the most impressive thing is he's not doing it on the straights. It's not like he's a midget who's just passing everyone on the straights and then staying on in the corners.
And saying that
he looks slower on the straights than the people around him, but then he's just unbelievable in the corners.
And you know what, like we're talking about stand-up wheelies, right? He must be that physically light on the bike. He's mid-transfer on power and he's wheeling. That's how light this guy. How many times do you see that in a Moto3 race? None, as far as I can remember. Mm-hmm. Someone wheeling mid-turn. Jesus, it's phenomenal. But like you say, he's not howling off in a straight line, because that's the same guy who won from pit lane, wasn't it?
Yes.
The second wave on the pit lane, and he won that race. Jesus, so the lad's got a future.
He's dominating the championship points wise, like so far ahead. And also Fernandez, who's a rookie in Moto2, took the win in Moto2. So that's he's another massively promising rider for the future in MotoGP. Obviously, to step up into Moto2, even if you're winning after a year in Moto2, you're progressing really well. But just to step up from Moto3 to be doing that straight away is just like literally unreal. Jake Dixon crashed out again, not having a very good time at the moment. I think he was. I can't remember where he crashed out of, but he wasn't exactly like battling for the podium or anything. And just touched the curb and went down. But again, it's one of those things we talk about all the time. Sometimes you're on an upward spiral, sometimes you're on a downward spiral, and for sometimes everything you touch just goes well, and you just it happens, and like
the other time it's sexy fingers,
and it's when it's going the other way around, you have a crash, and then you're sort of riding a little bit more reserved because you don't want to crash, and then you crash again, and it's very easy to get stuck in that thing. So hopefully you'll be able to reset and come back stronger.
I am desperate for Jake Dixon to turn that round, because I'm going to say it how it is, and I'm gutted to say this, but imagine having his career highlight potentially being leading that race. And was it the last lap he lost the front?
Last year, yeah, it was. I don't think it was last lap, but yeah, it was close.
It was so close, and he led it, and he was miles away. And unfortunately, boom, shit happens in this sport. No, it was heartbreaking that, and the whole world felt that. And you just think, come on, please get that confidence back and just get running again, because we need that. We desperately need that.
There's been a few more bits of sort of good news in the press this week. First of all, is there anywhere you want to start?
I was about to say, I think we should just go straight in with Oliver's Mount. They're the ones who've been to announcing. That rider lineup is looking so strong. And a man who's been very quiet since his departure from Honda, is Davy Todd.
Yes.
So he's on the Wilson Craig Honda.
Yeah,
So-
this is just for Oliver's Mount
Oliver's
at the
Mount.
moment. Yeah, I've seen that. Surprised Davy isn't staying in the BSB paddock. Maybe he's got something sorted and hasn't announced it. But after coming back last year with Honda, he especially early on in the season, his first couple of rounds were very impressive considering he'd been off the bike. But unfortunately, that progression didn't. He seemed to start off well and sort of go backwards a little bit as the season went on. And after the first 2 rounds, he was kind of in the top group there was like the front 7 riders. He was the back end of that group, and then from there, really, he was sort of outside the top 10, and I think he just stuck in the points at the last round. But obviously he would have hoped to have started off sort of around the sort of 10th mark and went up, where he sort of stagnated and went back a little bit.
But obviously with the cancellation of the TD, you see, so that'll be probably the main reason, isn't it? It's got to be that reason, because obviously with no TT, it's like he was employed to ride, and if he had another year with Honda, I'm sure he would have even gone higher. You know, the lad can ride a motorcycle without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was exactly like you said. I think he was. It would have been a perfect opportunity for him to get up to speed in Superstock and then go at the TT with the Honda team, the Northwest, all the big internationals.
Yeah, it would have been dangerous. I mean, no, not dangerous. I mean, it would have been fast competition. It would have been Davey would have been right up there with him. Like,
it would be absolutely perfect for him. But I think from Honda's point of view, obviously the focus is on superbikes. They've now got 3 superbike riders with the 2 Japanese lads and Glenn Irwin. And they've also got a Superstock contender with Tom Neve in the championship. So for Honda, in terms of like cost benefit, to have a second Superstock rider with no added benefit of road racing success, you can understand why they've
it's definitely not Davey. It's Honda's decision. You know what I mean? Just based upon that.
Yeah,
we're assuming.
But
from the outside looking in, we don't know the ins and outs. But never say never though, because he's back on a Honda. So, you know, he's playing the game right, you know, so when the TT comes around again, hopefully Honda pick up the phone room again and he'll be up at the front contending for podiums and wins.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, from Davey's point of view, it would obviously be really good for him to stay in the championship, because I definitely think after a full season, he's like refreshed in terms of the track knowledge and the bike and the race, and I'm sure he would start making progression into the top 10 and maybe even challenging for top 6 or wins towards the end of the season.
No doubt. And then and Davey's going to come back to Oliver's Mount where he's been before. He's gone round there. He's obviously contended for wins.
I don't think he's raced at Oliver's Mount.
Has
he?
Long shot Kawasaki ran about 2 years ago.
Right.
So he has been around there before, and he's done a bit of parading around there. And it's
how did he do when he raced there last time?
I can't remember the exact results, but like the thing is, Wilson Craig Honda, they put a fantastic bike together. Davey is an extremely sharp front runner at Stock 1000. He's going to be contending. He's definitely going to be contending. We've got Lee Johnson, who unfortunately he's been diagnosed with a form of blood disease, hasn't he? So he's a bit of a question mark, to be blunt. You know, if he's feeling up for it, he may not. But Lee, from man, is laid back. He'll make a decision on the day, and he's because he's been out with Damo Racing. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been out because Damo's racing for Ashcourt Racing in BSB for Stock 1000. I saw him out on the track day, so he's getting plenty of track time in.
He'll definitely be a man to watch in Stock 1000 this year.
Aye, without a doubt. And then we have got Dean Harrison on the rumour mill. He's coming back with Silicon Engineering. We've got Rob Hodgson on the RC Express bike. We've got James Hind on the, lockers machinery yet again.
Is Joe Ackroyd coming back?
Joe Ackroyd, depending on his world endurance commitments, that's the word, thank you. And who's we got? We've got the Irish lads getting flown in. We've got Mike Brown, who's, I can tell you what, quiet lad, but he gets the elbows out and goes for it.
Sorry, is this all for the Spring Cup?
All for the Spring Cup.
Hey,
Paul Jordan's coming back on the R6 with Burroughs Engineering, so they're flying under that. You've got, bloody hell, man, the grid is so depth. And there's so many names that I've forgotten who can push at the front as well. And I do apologise for missing everyone, but it is going to be. And the thing about Oliver's Mount, if you're not in the first 2 rows in qualifying, to be blunt, you're having a chance.
Yeah.
And that's the character off the track. Because that first corner, if you're not with the front five, you might as well good luck. And obviously my teammate, who's racing for DC Racing again there, Dean and Chris, he's a contender around there. I kid you not, right? Mike is a phenomenal rider and he just lacks that. That's how me and him get along. We just lack that self-belief. But when the rain hits the floor, Mike is going to be no one's going to get near Mike. I kid you not.
In the wet?
In the wet.
What, do you not think Dean Harrison or Lee Johnson would be able to compete?
It's going to be close.
Really?
I mean, like I tell you what, it was that damn little track, and Mike, unfortunately, the drop link fell out of it. He was absolutely howling away from Lee Johnson. Howling away. Mm-hmm. I kid you not. So if there's, all the Mike Norbury fans out there, get your rain dance on, because it'll be absolutely chomping at the bit.
Oh, well, I'm really looking forward to the Spring Cup. Hopefully I'll be not doing anything that weekend, and I'll definitely come down with the barbecue and watch, and obviously to watch yourself. Are you 600 and Super Twin that weekend?
Yeah, so I'm on with accountants back down there. So we're still in the middle of building bikes. We've got some new the team have got a couple little sponsors coming on board, which is good to help out with trying to get the funds in, which is brilliant to obviously develop the bike. But at the moment, we still haven't got any motorcycles. We're just trying to get wiring looms rebuilt and everything like that. And by we, I mean the Royal We. Neil and Fran Cowan are working their absolute arses off all the way down in Yorkshire. So they're grafting morning, noon and night. There you go. A bit of a tongue twister there.
And just in terms of people who might want to come and watch Scarborough, obviously with like really, really impressive competitive grids, and the racing the racing's almost guaranteed to be really good. How do people go about getting tickets? And is it? I've got written here the 22nd and 23rd of May.
That is correct, my man. That's for the Spring Cup. So the online
is the Friday practice as well.
No.
Right, just straight in on a Saturday.
It's Saturday, Sunday again. So it's that Friday thing was absolutely awesome, and because they can only have so many road closures and stuff like that, and they can't do the Friday practice. But for me, the Friday thing was so much safer. Mm-hmm. Was so much safer because everyone's got time to build into it. Like, thing about road racing is like Armoy's back in the calendar. That'll be on the same page. Like all road, you get 5 laps. That's practice and qualifying. Mm-hmm. 5 laps. That you have to hit the ground bloody running. That's where experience comes in the key. So it's a shame Oliver's Mount don't have the Friday system. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be fast. It's going to be really, really fast. But yeah, check it out on the Oliver's Mount website to get some tickets. Come down, watch. Obviously with COVID, the quarantine. Not quarantine, man.
COVID rules.
COVID rules. Thank you very much, Chrissy. There you go. I'm glad you're controlling this situation. But yeah, things are starting to relax, and they might let more numbers in by then. You never know, man. The world's still spinning round.
There was like 5,000 last year or something.
Something like that, aye. So hopefully they'll let more people in. But the good news is, word from over the seas there, Armoy is looking promising.
Brilliant.
Looking really promising. And the entries have opened up. Bill Kennedy, all the Armoy staff are absolutely working their asses off. Unfortunately, and this is Oliver's Mount's fault, they have put the dates at the same time as Armoy. Now, the biggest problem, Armoy is a one-hit wonder a year. It's a proper Irish road race, and it's a bit like there's 4 Scarboroughs, so, it's going to be a difficult one, and that clashes with the Cock of the North meeting. And the reason they have not done that, the reason they've clashed, which is damn fortunate for road racing, is because it clashes with BSB.
Right.
There's only 3 BSB races at Scarborough. Dean Harrison, Lee Johnson, and, depending if he is doing it, what do you call him? We just mentioned him on Davy Todd, if he is doing any British. But you just think...
I thought the Spring Cup's the only one that doesn't clash. Is that right? With BSB?
No, the Barry Sheen Classic doesn't clash.
Really?
So that's 2 meetings that don't clash. But the Cock of the North meeting, Cookstown clashes with, what do you call it? With the Gold Cup.
Right.
Cookstown in Ireland. Now, that's Cookstown's fault, because Scarborough had the date out first, so Cookstown then re-announced for that. And you think, the sport's on, it's bloody arse, man. For God's sake, stop clashing. And really, there's another thing. You can watch BSB on the telly. You can watch it on your phone. You can watch it anyway. Why wouldn't you go watch some proper men, go around some proper road races, go have a ticket, enjoy a barbecue at a track, and you can watch you go around on your bloody iPhone? So, oh God, that's my personal gripe out the way anyway. So it's, but I'm just need to get on the phone to Bill Kennedy. I need to put my entry in for Armoy. I'm really looking forward to getting there. Really looking forward to getting there.
For people wanting tickets for Scarborough, is it still Duke Market? And
Duke Market, I believe so.
Be on the web.
It'll be on their website.
If you Google book Spring Cup, I'm sure you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, you mentioned Abday Park in Wales.
Yes.
Road race.
They have just announced their UK Club Sport. They just put the dates out there. August, I cannot remember. It's in August. Anyway, sometime in August.
Have you been down to Abday Park before?
I've never been. Dan Cooper, he's an absolute demon around there. But those dates used to clash with an event. You see, that's the thing. All these road race, bugs me. It absolutely really tears me in half, because road racing, we're a particular breed, as you know anyway. And everyone knows that, but you just think, for God's sake, can you not just come together? And because every road racer wants to go to every road race. That's fact. So
I think the problem this year as well is, especially with the limited meetings that are on, it's even more important that it's
spread out.
For road races this year, there's only like a few races in the full calendar. So the fact that there's only a few of them and there's clashing's very disappointing for the likes of yourself.
Oh, it's not, well, that's it. And I think all the road racing fans, because really, your BSB, like every road race fan is a fan of the BSB. And you just think, well, we'll get,
possibly. I mean,
all the wet wipes out there, yeah. But it's.
I think if you looked at the Venn diagram, there's a few hardcore road racing fans that probably don't like BSB.
But let's see. Well, I'm biased on. I'm totally biased, but no, I just it bugs me. It really does bug us. But it's in the calendar. So really, you're going to split the field down the middle. I think Darrell Tweed's coming to the Spring Cup as well. There's another contender from McAdoo Racing.
Aye.
Honestly, so the Spring Cup, because nothing's clashing, you're going to get such a strong grid, and it's going to be bloody fantastic.
I can't wait myself. I think it'll be mint. Speaking of teammates as well, speaking of Mike Norbury,
another road racer.
It's looking like you possibly might have another teammate for this year. Do you want to...
Mate, actually,
what's the crack there? Because obviously we've just seen a picture online with it's Michael Dunlop we're talking about at Dom's new team DC Racing, and he had a DC Racing hoodie on. Now I know he was there dropping a bike off for Chris, but go on, you can tell us the rest.
Well, this is all about the rumour mill, isn't it? And they've got I hope it happens. I genuinely really hope it happens. In all seriousness, there's chatting happening. There is chatting happening, and you just think, my God, but the worst thing is, it's like last in, first out, so you'll end up having my bloody seat, man. I'll be homeless again. I tell you what, Dean was telling us the weekends, so they were having the crack about the team and obviously everything like that, and Dean goes, we've got Mike Norbury and Dom Herbertson, and apparently Michael turned around with Dom Herbertson. He goes, he goes, is he that fucker that never shuts up? I goes, that sounds about right, Dean. So I feel like we've known each other for years, me and Michael. There we are. But no, I've never actually got to meet Michael properly, if you know what I mean. I've seen him at signing on and stuff like that, but never had a sit down bit of crack, you know what I mean?
I'm the same. I feel like I know him because I've read his book, but I've only spoke to him a couple of times. But that would be exciting.
But imagine having him on the team. 80, I think he's got 18 TT wins. You know what I mean? He is a fountain of knowledge. He's a bloody Dunlop. He's Michael Dunlop. It'll be absolutely awesome to have him on the team. He probably won't speak to us because he's got taste. But
you'd learn a lot from him.
My God,
a lot of experience, and I mean, it would be fantastic. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that one.
But all serious, never say never. There's some chatting going on, so that's fresh off the rumour mill for you. Fresh off the rumour mill.
We're also, with this being our 100th episode, and with it just being me and Dom today, we'll put a few things out on the ask the patrons for some questions. So we'll have a look at that in a second. But I just quickly want to mention that this coming Wednesday, I'm down at it's the first BSB test, so we'll see all the new liveries down at Silverstone. It's a 2-day test, but it's split up. Superbikes are Wednesday and Thursday, but then they've split the support classes up. So super stock is just on Wednesday. But really looking forward to going down there. Obviously, I'll be down with my Stouff bike, and yeah, they're
You got
with
your
the
leathers
team.
yet?
Not yet. They're on order. I've got some plain black. I'm actually doing some testing for RST. It's like the new prototype suit, so it hasn't been released yet, but they want some feedback on a few adjustments that they've made, and so I've got a plain black suit from them at the moment just for testing. I've also just bought a plain black matte RI, so just for like sort of testing. And I thought if we ever do any like road tests or anything, to have all like black gloves, black helmet, black suit would look nice with some nice subtle bright pink boots.
You love them too.
Also, you're racing this weekend. Do you want to this weekend coming?
Yeah, so I'm racing for the biggest team in the world at the moment, Start Racing. I tell you what, Hayden Start, right? He stepped up from the 65s. He never even had a chance to contend on the 65 championship because obviously COVID and the British got knocked on the head. Mm-hmm. But Sugar Tits himself put his son on an 85 just for a bit of practice, and the lad is taking it to like Dr. Watermind, where he won his first race at Blue Barns there up in the northeast here, and he was doing Hawkston motocross or something like that, which is like all the British lads go there, and he's absolutely hammering round. I mean, you're talking about lads who have raced 85 small wheels for years, absolutely years. He can't even touch the bloody floor of the thing, man.
See, he's got a few top tens as well, didn't he? So good on him.
Bearing in mind, like, he's been so, like, for me, that was so crucial for him, from an outside looking in. The fact that he needed to get beat a couple of times, because all he does is win. Previous to that, he was just winning. And then, if you dish out a little bit of disappointment, people's attitudes change. And he's 11-year-old, and he just took that top 10, realised what he actually achieved. He understands the game he's in, and he goes, I want to get faster. And you're thinking, 11? With that dedication, man, is Sugar Tits, right? He sent me a video, right? He was sitting on this floor, right, in his dad's house with a helmet on, watching on boards at 11. You know what I mean? If that's a lad who doesn't want it, I don't care who you are.
Just something you've just mentioned there has just sprung into my mind. I remember years and years ago seeing a thing, like reading or hearing it from someone, and it was to be a winner, first you've got to learn to lose. And it sounds a bit stupid, but it's basically
my winning spell must be coming because I've done some losing, son.
So what you've just sort of said there, and I remember as a youngster playing football, and I remember in my team if we got beat, there's kids that would you start not shake hands with the other players and go off crying and whatever. And
go pick your dumb up, so nice.
Their parents were actually proud of them because they thought they were like a real winner because they couldn't stand getting beat. And I remember my dad always used to just say whatever you do, you must be gracious in defeat and always shake the things. And I think that is important. And sort of touching on that of the motocross, you do have to learn to sort of lose.
Well, no, to see if it you know what I mean? Because again, his family of chucking, his whole family are chucking everything at him, like what your parents did with you, and you just think, well, that is a very early sign of does he want it? Because if he just sat there with it, spat his dummy out and went, I don't like it, and didn't progress from that, it's a waste of time, isn't it? Well, really, no. Yes, there's enjoyment, family, but like that. But as far as going to the next level, Hayden showed that. Immediately showed that.
There is something I think we mentioned this on the last pod as well, about what it takes. There's people that are really dominant when they're kids and then they sort of fade out of the sport. And maybe you've sort of touched on one of the reasons for that. When some kids I can think of were ridiculously dominant in 50s and 70s and whatever, and then within a few years, as soon as they start getting beat, they go out of the sport. Maybe not for personal choice. They might be, through injuries or through financial things. But I'm just making the point. You might have sort of touched on something there. And
it's an interesting. But it was for me, it was good because it was just, you can just see the lad's determination, and I think he's got the whole British calendar, and he's learned that lesson early on, very early on.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes too much too soon it might not be such a good thing.
But he's Hayden made the decision, and that's the best thing is Gemma, his mum, and what's his real name, Craig, Sugar Tits, he generally gives Hayden like the choice. You know, we take the piss, you know, motocross dad, because his son wants to go fast, and Craig has the tools to actually do that for him.
Yeah.
But you think it came to the day when, you know, his sponsors, Manchester Motorcycles, and all his sponsors around it, just said, look, son, you know, the choice is yours. Do you want to stay with your 65, win a championship? That's how simple it was. You know, you had the full capability. You need lady luck on your side for any championship. You know, you have a chance of winning a championship, or do you want to step up and go faster? And he just went, I want to go faster.
Mm-hmm. For me, that's
hellish.
That's a little bit of a worry I've got with, do you know, like say Pedro Acosta, because he's
16.
in his second ever year, and 16-year-old, he's won from the back of the grid. You know, he cannot really progress this year. He's so dominant now, and then what happens if he
keep that momentum going?
Exactly. What happens if he starts to crash and then starts to
go backwards?
If he finishes second or third, it'll feel like to him he's going backwards, when in fact that might not be the case. So it's
the wonderful world of motorsports.
Getting a bit deep into that.
I like it.
On the patrons, we've got so many questions. But just to shout out, big thanks to our patrons, obviously, at this 100th milestone, the huge sort of...
but they've all left bar one, haven't you? So
they're a huge, you know, engine behind the podcast.
Oh, God, without sponsors.
Keeping us on the road.
Oh, God, this wouldn't be happening. So thank you very much, patrons.
Got a... So first one, Ryan Garside, biggest prick you've come across.
No, him, without a doubt. With his funky levers and his dodgy, and his brother with his big head. He's a bit weird. Like,
I would like to answer that question. I would like to answer that question, but I feel like we've got a very privileged platform here on the podcast. And
so who is it then?
And it's a bit.
Who is it then?
I'm saying because of that, it would be a bit unfair, because people don't have the chance to like reply to it. So I would only call someone a prick if they could reply.
In their face.
So I'll reserve judgment on that one.
I can't imagine you calling someone a prick to their face.
Mike Oulton, congratulations, Dad. It has been great to have been along for the journey. You've come a long way from the last days of sitting in the kitchen table through Skype and onto the mobile studio. What is your favourite episode? When are you going to air the first DC racing episode, and why is it so unsuitable? First of all, what's your favourite episode?
It was Joe Ackroyd, but he's a prick for sitting us up, so it's definitely got out the window. I don't know. I really don't know. Shit, I've never listened to any of them back. You know, mate, they're all mint in their certain ways. You know what I mean? It's like, I tell you what, I don't miss the Skype days. Yeah. Like, that was such a raw beginning. That's how it begins, everything like that. But now, I really wouldn't enjoy doing a Skype one. Obviously, within reason, you know, Dave O'Johnson's on the other side of the world, but you sit down, you have the crack, and it's just having that pub atmosphere. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. Speaking of mind, on the Skype ones, I really enjoyed the first one we did with Christian in, you know, Frozen Testicles.
Oh, God, that was mint.
That was funny. But I would probably say Joe Ackroyd one for me. And the DC thing, it just wasn't suitable, like the language.
I tell you, no, but all seriousness, that will get released on both our deaths. Not just mine. Definitely, Chrissy, we're going to have to get the solicitors involved. Do we have a solicitor? We better get one, actually.
Ash White said, please answer Ryan's biggest prick question. Ash actually bought my old van. No, he came here.
Oh, yes, aye.
And he's racing a Gen, I think it's a Gen 2 or a Gen 3 BMW this year, so good luck to him with that. He's actually got the Motorbike Pod logo on his bike, so thanks for that.
So it's not Chrissy driving if anyone's trying to nudge you off the road. There you go.
Ted the Head, well done in
reaching
this milestone. No TT pun intended, lads. Really look forward to each new show. I reckon it won't be long before the show grows into an even bigger venture for yourselves, the new Ant and Deck Law. So that's not much of a question, but
thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
no pressure.
Very kind. Mark Reynolds has a very long question.
That prick thing. There.
There's about 6 questions in one, but I'll quickly read through. First off, happy birthday, lads. I'll be up for a slice of Colin the Caterpillar cake later on.
Have you seen that crack in the news?
No.
Colin Caterpillar, with I think it was M&S, like, had a legal case to knock it off Aldi, but Aldi have been doing piss takes, like putting it in little jails and stuff like that. God, let me out and stuff like that. That's been crack. Get with the news, Chrissy, man.
From all the podcasts you have done, what has been the one highlight? What question did you not ask a guest that you now wish you had?
There's loads.
What 3 guests would you like to interview together as a group? They can be absolutely anybody from anywhere and any class of racing. What has been the hardest thing about doing Chasing the Racing? What has been the most rewarding thing to come from doing Chasing the Racing? What is your ultimate dream ambition for Chasing the Racing as a brand, to have your own Netflix series, team owners of your own racing team in BSB, World Superbikes, MotoGP Roads? First of all, I would I'll quickly jump in there and say definitely one of the best things that's come from doing the show is, well, as a general thing, people that we've met and made contact with. But I just want to say a quick shout out. The last round of last season had two guys come with the both our patrons, actually, Dave and Ian. And Ian did a short, like, it was like a 5-minute video, but a very professional clip.
Mint soundtrack.
And and Dave is doing a full documentary which has just been released, and the trailer's on YouTube. I'm sure you've seen it on social media and stuff. But that's coming out really soon, and it's an hour. I can't tell you how much effort that Dave's put into this.
But that started off as like, it was only going to be a little thing, and Dave has just gone, and the only expression for this is balls deep. He has gone down the road on it. Like,
he's been up and down the country for weeks and weeks and weeks. He's literally interviewed so many people, my surgeons, my physio, all team bosses.
People are going to watch that just for Piggy, you know that, don't you?
He's really put his heart and soul into it, and that's going to be aired sometime soon. Lots of people keep asking us where and when. It's going to be in the next few weeks, and Dave's currently in talks with Eurosport and a few other TV, program outlets. So we don't actually know where it's going to go out yet, but hopefully it'll be some like the Discovery Channel or Eurosport or something along those lines.
Wow!
And
big balls.
And also, just a quick shout out: Dave so far has funded everything himself, which has been a massive expense. And if I know he is looking for sort of partners for commercial partners, so if anybody is interested in having any branding on the movie, considering it's going to be really good, please get in. You can get in touch with me, or it's at Dive Boom.
Did you just do that in a southern accent? At Dive?
No,
I thought you were at Dive.
His Instagram is DIVE Dive Boom. So get in touch.
At Dive.
It's Dave at thegalleries.co.uk, I believe.
Oh, definitely.
I might have got that wrong, but I'll put the link in the bio.
And he's actually he's a lovely, lovely man.
He is, yes, he's brilliant. That's definitely been one of the best things. And also the thing about running a team. If I was successful later in life, there was pretty much nothing I would like to do more than to sort of pick somebody up from who hasn't got the chance, but has got the want and the determination, but maybe hasn't got the financial backing, and sort of steer them through a career and sort of mentor them and get bikes. And say if I was successful in business or whatever, and if I could have my own little race team on the side, I would. There's pretty much nothing I would like more than that. What about yourself?
I'd be the exact same with the running team. Like look what Dean and Chris are doing for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're giving us track time, and look what the accountants are doing for us. And yeah, I would love to be able to replicate that. Here's a question: where would you draw a line under success in your own mind? When you've got a picture of, have you got a car on the drive? Have you got a 5-bedroom house? What have you got in your mind?
That's a good question.
No, you know what I mean, though. It's like you have. It doesn't matter how shallow. I'm not taking the piss.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say? Right, I have X amount of pounds, and you think, right, this is what I would want.
My dad's always talked about FU money. You can fill in the rest of that FU money, but it's basically where, for example, where we are now, we're totally relying on other people to
patrons, sponsors, everyone.
Yeah, to pay for stuff for us to do. So really, we're at somebody else's beck and call in lots of ways, especially at racing.
We work for a living, so we need to work for someone else to get the money in. Simple as that. I would love to get to the position where I'm not relying on anybody else, and I don't have to say things and do things just to please other people. Like, I have what you would say FU money, like you're not bothered, you do as you want when you please. But in terms of success, that's such a difficult question. It is, because I tell you what, I seen this not long ago, and it is so true. As human beings, as we've been evolving, there's something natural inside of you that looks at the person, the people around you, and there's a natural. It's been advantageous as we've evolved, but to look around, and if somebody's doing better than you, to sort of, maybe not sort of jealous, but to focus on what they're doing and become a bit obsessed with it. And for example, that's social media.
I'm getting onto that. A few hundred years ago, right? Let's say you're a farmer and you're working your socks off, and the farm next to you is doing loads better than you, and he's producing a lot more crops. He's wealthier. He's doing better than you. It would be advantageous for you to focus in on that and think, what's he doing differently? Because obviously it would benefit you. So there's like a natural thing to do with like looking around you. The problem we've got now is obviously social media is very much in its infancy. And the problem is you're not seeing other people's lives in truth. You're seeing what they want you to see. So it's very unnatural for you to see thousands of people that seem to be doing brilliant on your phone all day, and there's a natural thing to like sort of compare yourself against them.
But that's why all these like media campaigns and everything like that to try and slow it down.
Like,
and,
you know, at the end of the day, it's the world we live in, and you know, big companies are paying people to advertise, and
that way of life.
The whole point of advertising is to try to sell things to make you feel like you need something to be happy or to be successful, or you need this product to look like them or whatever. The ironic thing is the models don't even look like that. They're photoshopped. But the whole thing is to make you feel advertising's to make you feel shit. So I've lost my train of thought here. Oh, about comparing yourself. So when you say what success, if you say lived in an estate where all the houses are say £100,000, but you build a big extension and everyone's got like £3,000 cars, but you've got a Range Rover, you come back in from work and you feel like you've made it, because compared to the people around you, you're say financially doing a bit better. But then if you move to the next estate where everyone's got, you know, £500,000 houses and you've maybe got a £200,000 house, you sort of feel like they're ahead of you, and you don't have that sort of, do you know what I'm saying?
I know.
Now, it doesn't matter how much money you get, there's always somebody with more money. You know, you eventually you get a yacht and you pull into the yacht on your £1 million yacht, and then there's £100 million one comes next to you and just totally pisses on your cornflakes. So there's never. I seen a thing a while ago, and it's to do with taking sort of focusing on being appreciative of what you've got rather than envying what you want to have. And I think that's important, because you can, if I think of like the best times of my life and the happiest times, it was when I was like probably much younger and we didn't really have any, like very little as a family. And I remember as a kid going on holiday and like we had the crappiest little caravan. We used to go up to Oulton, you know where John McPhee's from, and like not much money at all, and we'd go fishing and have a great time. And then it was funny because about maybe 10 years after that, my dad bought a motorhome, and for us it was quite a big thing at the time. It was like 30 grand or whatever, and we went back to Oulton because my dad was working there, and we thought we'd go back and we'd sort of rekindle things, and it wasn't a patch on. Just because we had a bit of a nicer living a vehicle, it didn't make it any happier at all. So yeah, good question. What do I see success as? I'm very much 1 year at a time, and my success is totally determined on bike racing. I don't see I know I mentioned about successful in business, but all my success and all my energy is in bike racing. And for me, success is to win races and win championships. And it's at the moment sort of money and whatever is. It's not a focus for me at the moment. What about yourself?
Right, well, the way I would label success is I want a fridge that dispenses ice, and I want enough grass to cut with a sit-on lawnmower. That's when I know I've made it. It's literally as simple as I want it. Like, honestly, it's like I tell you what, you know, when you talk about success, like my feet, like this is so like I say, we're very biased, but we have a motorbike podcast, for God's sake. And did
you say podcast?
Podcast. Kawasaki podcast. But no, like our own podcast. And you just think, my fear in life is not being able to afford to go racing. That is generally my only fear, you know what I mean? I work my arse off, just, you know, I pay me rent and I pay everything, you know what I mean? And I'm very lucky that I've got the people I have in my life, you know what I mean? But I'm scared of having to stop racing. Mm-hmm. Financial more than anything. Yeah. Not the injury side, but no, that's how I would label success, you know. Racing very much the first thing. But no, if I could earn enough money to get enough grass to cut with a sit-on lawnmower and one of them fridges Like you put your cup in and dispense as ice
And pay for your racing.
and pay for your race. Honestly, you know what I mean? And that would be mint. That would be mint.
That's the
That is
long answer for that one. But I tell you what, we'll move on because we could be there all day. Wanted to ask if either of you had any experience on electric bikes. Seems like this is going to be the future, unfortunately. Cheers, Ted the Head.
It's definitely going to be the future. Totally agree. And the answer is no. I've ridden a electric KTM, mint, absolutely lovely, but there was just no atmosphere.
Right.
Absolutely, it's like shagging a girl behind a curtain. There's no point, is there?
Fair enough. I've never been on one myself.
I thought you were about to say behind a curtain.
I've not been on one, and although it possibly is the future, I sort of hope not really.
It is the future, though. You've got to admit that.
The only thing about it being the future is obviously the fact that at the moment we have noise restrictions, so we can hardly ride, and it makes it very expensive to ride. Where if there's no noise restrictions, you could ride all the time, couldn't you? So that would be one advantage, but it'll never be the same as like having an engine.
No, the thing is, we're atmospheric creatures, aren't we? It's the smell, the sounds, the sights, and everything. It's literally a chemical reaction in your brain that looks at motorsports for certain individuals and gone. It's literally everything about them. Sitting there watching a Duracell battery, it's like mint.
There's been some. By the way, do you know in terms of energy produced right now, how much of the world's energy is produced by renewable energy, do you think, at the moment? Like wind and solar?
3%.
2%, good guess, 2%. So when you think if you're running an electric powered vehicle, it's really being produced on 98% like
fossil fuels.
Exactly. There's been some really positive news with nuclear power recently, and they're looking to possibly have... There's a new... do you know the biggest issue with nuclear...
Chernobyl and Ramsey hairpin.
Yeah,
Move!
The biggest issue with nuclear power is nuclear waste, but they found there's new technology which sort of does... It's a liquid and dissolves the nuclear waste, and it basically...
They've had that for years. They call it Whitley Bay.
It solves that problem, and they're looking to... Basically, if you had a nuclear power station the size of a house in every city, that would be enough to power and it's totally clean as well. So I'm more hopeful along those lines, or like hydrogen or something, rather than the idea that we're going to be powered by like wind and solar.
I'm still heartbroken they're going to stop selling diesel cars in 2031. I'm heartbroken.
Ian Higginson. Ian very kindly did that movie at the end of the last
little
year.
Irishman.
Well done, boys. Some going. Ask Dom if he is making a trip to Barry's Bargains before Oliver's Mount next month. Was some weird and wonderful things in your garage at Brands Hatch, Chrissy, and I'm expecting the same level of product.
I've never been to Barry's Bargains.
Need to get there. It's in.
Are you sponsored by them?
I'm not, but I should be.
You should be. The amount of plugging you've done.
Lovely shop in concert. Like everything's £5 for £1, and it's although it's slightly out of date, it tastes the same.
It's slightly out of date.
No, it's coming up to the end date usually, but
10 minutes.
Yeah, it's some mega bargains. Mel Gantley. Congratulations, lads. That's quite an achievement. I'm happy to have been along for the ride and looking forward to many more episodes ahead. As there are guests you've had on your wish list for a while, but for one reason or other haven't been able to have them on the show yet. By the time you reach episode 200, what goals do you each hope to have achieved in your racing careers? And bonus question, I'll be starting a podcast of my own soon, so would you both be willing to come on as a guest? So for yes, yes. We'll definitely come on as a guest. In terms of guests that we've had on the to-do list, there's people, Dean Harrison, Paul Bird.
Let's be very honest with the listeners here. We wing it every week, haven't we? 100 episodes in, you'd think we'd have a clear path of what we're doing for the future. Because I can see it for the next 100 episodes. We're still going to continue to wing it, and we meet up every week and go, what we're going to do. It's incredible.
But Bruce Anstey's another one that we really want to get on.
That would be amazing, Bruce Anstey. Well, to be honest, I think that's more of just the fan in us. I think Bruce is a very reserved person. I think the actual podcast quality would be quite difficult because, getting that bounce and going, it would be quite hard. But I think people would just want to hear and listen to Bruce. There'll be no denying that.
I've also would really like to get a few local Geordies on, like Ross Noble and the Hairy Bikers. Well, one of the Hairy Bikers just lives about a mile away from where I live, so I would love to get him on. In fact, he lives pretty much halfway between me and you, pretty much bang on.
There you go.
That's Sai. Let's go. Mark Jackson. Happy 100th birthday, both of you. I hope you get a telegram from the Queen, or better still, a stripogram from Liz Hurley. Now,
Oh, God, a man can dream.
for your birthday.
Oh, I said it on the pod.
You haven't.
Have I not?
No.
Wait, I said thank you, Tony Rolls.
I don't think you thanked
I did.
on the pod.
Where did I thank that then?
A couple of times you've went to say it and then said, I'll do it next episode. Go on, explain.
Oh, no, right. Basically, Tony Rolls for my birthday got us a signed photo of Liz Hurley. I've got it. I need to get it framed and hung up right here, right next to the Colchester Kawasaki sign, right there. It's literally, it's a Rudy photo of her signing it, going to Dom.
Mint on it.
Give me a call.
Does he live next to us?
I've no idea, but he got it done. And Tony, you're an absolute legend. He's part of one of his 130 club members, and he's obviously a patron as well. And he's a mint lad, absolutely mint lad.
We've got Rich Gibson. Happy centenary, boys. Some podcast you've created mind absolutely class, and I genuinely look forward to seeing what each week has in store. My question is a two-parter really. Track days, gaskets, and the lack of testing time. How can track days be improved, and do you think more need to be reserved as ACU road race license holder days only, so not to intimidate the sort of folk who like to put the bike on the side stand and stop for a casual chat with their mate at the foot of the mountain?
I'll tell you what, he's hit the nail on the head there though, because you notice there's not a single, 10%? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that is from an outsider looking in on a normal track day. There's not many of them that just kick the side stand up, is there? Everyone's turning up with the vans, with the tyre warmers, with everything, because it is like a miniature race meeting them. I know every track day firm out there will be screaming at this podcast going, don't say that, but that is the truth. Everyone is out there to go fast. That's the whole point of doing a track day. And the competition level there is strong, even amongst themselves.
I think the idea of having more ACU licenses
is a good idea.
Yeah, and I've actually just booked one at Oulton Park a few weeks' time, and that said something like middle and advanced only. So maybe if they sort of start segregating it a little bit like that, it just makes it a bit safer for everyone, because sometimes it is a bit dangerous. The closing speed between the sort of bottom of the top group and the top end of the fast group is,
it's noticeable,
massive, yeah, and that is where a lot of the danger comes in. So yeah, good question, possibly something to consider in the future. Wayne Sherwood, congratulations guys. So who would you like to interview most, and has anyone who's too much of a superstar declined? We've only had a few people decline. Paul Bird was one of them, but he just said it wasn't really his
thing,
his cup of tea. I didn't actually ask Michael Dunlop, but I asked him if he watches the podcast, and he said, have a book. Like that.
Which is fair enough. So hopefully 8 of my teammate, I hope it
Hutchie, I've asked Hutchie a few times, and he never seems that keen on it. He never said no, but he just doesn't seem that keen.
He actually likes you. It's me that's putting him off. So
who else has anyone else declined? We haven't had that many people decline, have we? People are sometimes
people
a
are
bit
just
busy.
aren't they?
Yeah.
The thing is, because it's all like both working and that, it's all a bit last minute, isn't it? We're trying to onwards and upwards. We're learning every time.
Sniff and Skid Mark, congratulations lads.
Joe William.
It's been a joy to follow the rise. Brilliant. Julian Rose, congratulations both of you. I think it's a measure of your success that even when you have people on for a second time, it's just as good. Thanks for all the laughs. Again, thank you, Julian. Tony Rolls, well done to all involved. Amazing to see how quickly it has grown, and I'm glad to have played a small part in it. If there a specific thought of who you want when asking guests to come on, or is it just a case of someone saying yes who has asked to come on rather than you ask them? It works different each week. Sometimes we'll have people asking us, and it's just a case of fitting them in. Sometimes we ask them. Sometimes it's me and Dom will just have a chat and say, we'll try and spread it out. So we'll have sort of pure road racing, like people on, and then BSB, and then, X riders,
I personally really enjoy the ones outside of our disciplines. You know what I mean? Like the Billy Bolts and the Speedway and everything like that. I really enjoy them, because you just sit there like a school kid and ask millions of questions, and I really enjoy them episodes. Well,
good question, and thanks for the support, Tony. Andy Wellborn, congratulations guys. It's been great to listen to you interview some top racers. A truly unique style, very relaxed, laid back, and
it's unique, Harry.
Sounds like you really enjoy it. I'm sure it's going to be tougher to turn out one weekly with both working and racing. Are you having a mirror fitted in the trailer now Dom is a hair gel wanker?
I'm not a hair gel wanker. I'm not fast enough to be a hair gel wanker.
In the process.
And I didn't wear hair gel. Yeah, this is getting bad, this.
in the process. Ash White, we've got 2 from Ash White. What's the best tip, advice you ever got that made you faster? And another one, has Grace successfully haggled since the boots?
That was a mint. That was mint. That was thinking about the other day. That was class.
I'll report back on the haggling. I will keep pushing her, and also to report that she got her knee down on her.
Mate, I saw that. I was so proud. Like, people have tried that for years, and she just mint. That was mint.
Those little 140s are actually really difficult to pull away on. They're quite aggressive in first gear.
Heavy clutch.
Yeah, it's not easy at all. So to teach her to pull away and understand, like she literally knew nothing about gears, clutch, anything. So it was a bit sketchy at first in the paddock, but then once she got on the track and sort of got it in third gear, and you could see her getting into it, and then in total she's only probably had a couple of hours on the bike, and she started leaning it over. Yeah, so I gave her a few tips and just kept gently pushing her, and to see her get a knee down, it was literally so good.
Wait, it was her reaction more than anything, bouncing her head like it was over.
She was chuffed a bit, bless her. So.
How old is your sister?
15.
15. How many 15-year-old lasses are out there on the first day on a motorcycle are getting the knee down? Fair play.
Tremendous, yeah. And also the best tip, advice you ever got that made you faster. Is anything?
I'm still waiting for you to give me some advice. Yeah, you haven't even walked me around a lap yet. And yet, like, seriously though, Chris, like, you can actually tell me a lot, and it's mint, and I just want to soak that information in like a sponge from you. But
that's a really good question. I've had so much advice over the years. To pick one thing, I'm gonna have to a think about that now.
I'll put it back on the next pod.
I'll maybe come back to that one. And also, I did ask some questions. Ask for some questions on our Instagram page. So I'll have a quick look at that. Other than the motocross, when are you next out on the big bike?
Oh God, Snetterton with the DC lads again.
That's the following weekend.
Pete Hickman's there.
In the GP1?
GP1 with Brian McCormick there as well. So all the rock stars are getting out to get the track time in. So there we go. No, it'll be good crack, man. It'll be really good crack. So I haven't done any sprint races yet. So I've only done the endurance race. So I'm looking forward to actually just doing some like 15 lappers, getting my head down and getting stuck in properly, So really looking forward to it.
Fantastic, man. Let's have a quick look through these. So there is literally loads to choose from. Lee Eubank asked what the new ZX10's like, which I've already talked about. Someone's asked about getting Chris Walker on the podcast.
Hopefully. And
we'll work, like we said at the beginning of this episode.
When he wins the first tri-options race, we'll definitely get him on. That'll tie in. Lovely.
Yeah. When everything is back to normal, will we have a Chasin the Racing meetup? That's a good shout.
It's a shame this will happen, because imagine if you put that on a big projector and got everyone up, like all the fans from Chasin the Racing and stuff. That would have been hellish, that, for your little OnlyFans film there.
Right, and Graphics has said, who's the most famous person you know that listened to the podcast and reached out? In terms of reached out to come on, would probably say Josh Brooks, but there's been a few times that I've bumped into people and they've said stuff about, like, they've referenced the fact they listen to the podcast, and I've been like really surprised that, like, they take the time to do it. Also, did you see this week we've just outside the top 20 in China? We're 21st automotive podcast in China. When you look, they're all in China, like all the titles of the podcast are in Chinese lettering, and then there's Chasin the Racing. So that made us laugh.
Imagine a Chinese person listening to our Geordie accent.
I know. One race bike you could do a season on, either short circuits or the roads. What bike would it be?
Ducati superbike at 120 grand.
One BSB title or one World Superbike race win, and then that's for me. And then for you, Superbike lap record at TT, or win this. I think that's Super Twin race, or ST win. Is that Super Twin or Super Stock? Well, basically, would you
senior win? Is that a senior win or a Superbike win?
Well, it says ST win. If you could have the Superbike lap record at the TT, but not win, or win the race but without the lap record, which one would you prefer?
The trophy to say you've won a race is good, but
or the fastest man.
But you see,
the world.
The fastest, like Pete Hickman's, like, he's the world's fastest man at the moment, and you just think you can't share that. But laps are there to be broken, but you were at the top of the food chain for that bit. You know what I mean? That year with that everyone there, everything like that. I think I'd go for the lap. I'd definitely go for... Oh.
Go for a lap speed.
I bet you get a nice watch if you win. So I won't... While I'm dispensing ice out of my fridge like that, I'm just going to go on my lawnmower naked.
Daytona 675 Ash. What's the biggest opinion you had that has now changed due to having someone on the pod for both of you? That's a great question. So, like, what preconception did we have that then changed after we had someone on the podcast? Is there anybody that you thought was like a massive bell, and then when we've had them on the podcast, you've like been surprised at who? Do you want to say who they are, or would you prefer not to?
Massive bells, not that way, far from it. But I tell you what, the first time I met Ivan Linton, I was walking up the paddock, and Adam, who was working for RC Express at the time, I walked straight up and I said, "Oh, hello lads, you all right?" Like, never met Ivan or anything like that, and I said to Adam, you haven't got a red spray paint can, have you? Just to spray me screen. And Ivan butts in and goes, "Do we look like fucking B&Q?" Like, and I remember standing there with this screen going, "Well, you're a bit of a knob, aren't you, son?" And you see, that's the thing. It was just one comment. He could have been having a bad day. His sense of humour, nothing. But meeting him in person, him inviting us down to his house, with his lass and everything, it was just, I'm over the moon that I got that opportunity to meet the real Ivan, and that is from the bottom of my heart, honest. And Ivan's probably going to watch this and can, what, I don't know, if you think, Dom, you are a dickhead, you know what I mean? But that first time I met him, I just went, that was
not a good.
Well, no, it wasn't a good. I could have taken the joke the wrong way or anything like that. But I remember going, right, oh son, no problem. But then getting to meet him in person, definitely the power of the pod.
Phil Hannon's said, any concrete plans to race Armoy or Cookstown in 2021?
Armoy.
Not Cookstown? Oh, Cookstown's the one that clashes, doesn't it?
Clashes with the Gold Cup.
But you're going with Armoy.
Now, saying that, I need to get on the phone to Bill Kennedy. The entries are filling up. So
who are you going to Armoy with?
Hopefully the Countons. Fran's got a soft spot for Scarborough, as we all do. I love Scarborough as well. But Armoy being the one-hit wonder, and for me, absolutely love the track. James loved the track as well, and I really, really absolutely love Armoy. I really do. Really. Speaking of Armoy, Miss Armoy, Lauren was down at the Donington Endurance. That woman grafted her arse off, so thank you very much, Lauren. Thank you very, very much. Absolutely howling grafted.
We've got a Highland Ewan.
Highland Ewan.
He said, did any photos appear yet of the peacock at Greeba Castle, Dom?
Look, that happened.
I've got some news. I've got an update on this, right? I was speaking.
So you haven't believed me up to this point? Is that what you're going to say?
No, I have. But I was speaking to someone at No Limits last week, and him and his mates were on that corner, and they said it 100% happened. They all had the hearts in the mouth because they thought you were going to hit it, and you just skimmed it, and they said it 100% happened.
Truth is out.
I was going to go and grab him, so
we have to interview him.
Let's see, mate. Start the podcast.
Mate, it was smoking a tab, looking at us in the eye while I was tipping in.
Chrissy, are you a member? So we've had someone saying, Chrissy, are you a member of the 130 club? I sort of am by default.
No. Yeah. He's in the 130 club solely to keep an eye on me, really, just in case I do something stupid.
What's the crack with the obviously 130 club? For those that aren't aware, was set up last year to help Dom financially to reach 130 mile an hour at the TT,
and that hasn't happened. So it's been ongoing for 2 years now. So it's still ongoing. So any information that I'm getting, I'm releasing out to the club first, and having little group chats and Facebook lives and everything like that. So then people collectively are really helping us, and there's still room to join. You get like that, the hats, t-shirts and everything like that. And the aim of the game is to get to the TT, and that'll be the hope. The realistic side of it is I'm not going there for anything less. And yet again, I've got to put this out there, I can't thank the accountants and DC Racing, because that'll be the bike that I'll be aiming for the 130 on. And the DC lads are absolutely great bunch of lads, and they're really giving me the track time to get on with that. But without the 130 club, without all my sponsors, I wouldn't be on the track at all. So I can't thank you all enough. By the way, I'm going to go through a lovely little list at the end of this, like for the personal sponsors. Just letting you know. So before you shut it down.
Yeah, no problem. Rich Fraser said, would you have a go at a proper trials event? I presume that's for me. Yes, I'm definitely going to have a go this year at one. And Matt Thompson said, what has been your favourite moment / interview? What's been your favourite moment on the pod? Anything stand out?
The Unboardable podcast.
Really?
Mate, that was just outstanding. It was literally just, we just sat there, didn't we? We're just like, just nudging each other going, we cannot put this out there. And that was really enjoyable, that podcast.
Good. That's a good question for me. Most enjoyable. Nothing like springs to mind, like not one moment. I'm just trying to think, has there ever been like a really touching...
You know what it is for me? Like, yeah, again, the Ivan episode was absolutely awesome. You know, that like, for me, it's like your dad says it as well. You know, it's that human element of it, and it touched so many things. The Ivan Linton, you know, TT race winner, and he's changed his path, and he had a huge injury, lost a friend, and you just think, well, he's a huge credit to this sport, and I'm not even using that lightly. You know, he's just such an ambassador, and I think I really enjoyed that. And on a personal note, it spun me opinion on someone. So it's all about learning, man. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, Joe Ackroyd, definitely not. So it's Ivan all the way now.
So I think that'll do, because we could literally sit here all night on that. So, but thanks so much. There's literally hundreds of messages on there, so I really appreciate everyone that's taken the time to send those in. So, like I said, you're racing motocross this weekend. So our next episode will be live from the QE. I'm just kidding.
Full of morphine, getting some truth out of us. There you go.
We'll have to get wheelchair access for this side.
I was about to say, hopefully you're going to get yourself down, because we're journalists. You'll be allowed in the paddock, and hopefully there's a couple of riders down there that we can get involved. Some big, very, very fast tarmac races as well. So hopefully we can get this little, like I say, we're always on the seat of our pants with these podcasts. So hopefully we're going to get them nailed down, and we'll get that podcast done.
Definitely. And like I said, mentioned earlier as well, we're at the BSB test on Wednesday, and the suit bikes are out again on Thursday. So by the time we get around to do the next podcast, we'll have some
more crack.
Yeah, big news, and we'll see where everyone is in terms, like, after the winter break. Did you say you've got something to finish the show?
Yeah. So basically, I've just got a list of people who've stuck with us, you know, for this year, you know, like, and I can't thank them all enough. And you know, the thing about sponsorship, it's never just about the finances, is it? You know what I mean? People support you, not just financially, you know, fixing cars and fixing bodies and all sorts. But
can I just say as well, one of the things was what's like favourite moment. I must mention this because you've just said it. I absolutely love the way you pronounce sponsorship.
Sponsorship?
Yeah.
Sponsorship?
Oh, I think that's
one of your sponsorships, is it? There you go.
Is your phone ringing on mine?
No, it's you.
It must be me.
You donut.
Yes, but say it.
Sponsorship?
Sponsorship. Just makes us laugh so much.
Sponsorship?
Yeah, because it's sponsorship.
Sponsorship?
It just
sponsor a ship. It's like, cheers, mate. Now I've got a complex. There you go. No, cheers for that. But you are a dick, like.
It's just one of those little things that makes us laugh.
So anyway, I've got a list of people that support us. Fucking hell, man. Fucking, if you were a dog, I'd have you put it down. I swear to God. I'm not even going to do it.
Oh God, read them out.
It's only been a crack that we've actually had into the end of the podcast. There you go. So, this list. Right, so you've totally taken the shine off this. So anyway, I've got to thank all the members of the 130 Club, the Hafe Group, Nigel and Michael Hafe there, Southwest Arb, Stuart Ball, Ian Robinson, Sally from ITRM, John and Karen Patterson from John Patterson Haulage, the North Yorkshire Club. Obviously they haven't had anything done this year because COVID and all that crap, but no, can't thank them enough. Addison MOT keeping me on the road. Gilbert Brown, family friend, and he drinks beer and he's just always in my corner, and he just helps us out with a couple of tyres now and then. I can't thank him enough. Armstrong Engineering over in Fermanagh there, he's always there over the phone, always giving out min guidance, and I can't thank him enough. Obviously, Armoy helmets for both of us, RST for both of us, force field body armour for the back protectors, HG Concepts, little ginger man who sprays your lids and does an awesome job. Can't thank you enough. He's always putting up with my shit. Bunch of Geordie Bellheads chasing the race, and this is obviously keeping us up there, mate. And thank you for putting up with us for 100 episodes. I still want to punch in the face after that comment, Mike, but there you go. Belgrave Motor Company yet again keeping us on the road and keeping us in tyres. Alan Winterburn yet again. Hugh Barris for all the work. I can't working with him for years. Tree Heroes again, and 2 new lads that have come on board for this year, even with the difficult times. SS Plant Services, they're based out of Scotland there, and so they built fix heavy goods, and they fix plant machinery for railways. 2 very busy lads, Jason and Ash Stewart there, and I can't thank you enough for them 2 coming on. But there's always room at the inn, and there's support is always welcome. So if anyone wants to get in touch with me or yourself, that'll be awesome, Chrissy.
That's it, yeah. And
that was my list of supporters.
We're both mega busy. Loads of racing this year. Obviously, a bit of road racing for yourself and loads of short circuit, and same for me. So, yeah. I guess it's 100th episode, mate. So thanks very much. I know it's obviously just been me and Dom in this episode, and we've sort of been rambling about loads of crap. But I will just say, there's not many people that this would work with in terms of...
It still doesn't work.
But
I'm still trying to make it work.
And for example, the amount, late nights and logistically, people don't really see what goes on behind the scenes. And, one of us will get an interview, but it'll be 300 miles away and the other person just jumps in and whatever. And there's a lot of late nights, a lot of, we'll arrange things really last minute and whatever, and it's been relentless, but it's something that I've really enjoyed doing with you, and here's to another 100. And
the sweat running down my spine now. Oh god, another 100, son. Jesus, there we go. But no, yeah, mate, it's meant, and we just need to keep it going, son.
And big thanks to all of our patrons, everyone. Obviously, we've got merchandise on the website. Anyone that sort of buys that, supports us that way. We've got our sponsors, Colchester Kawasaki, and really all the cans of rich energy.
We can say all night.
That keeps us awake.
Keeps us awake on the drives. There you go. But no, I can't thank everyone enough. So you've got GR Motorsport to thank. I've got Davies Motorsport. I've got DC Racing, Counting Racing, and Sci Motor for little bits of pit biking. I'm hey, on your trailer for your your film, it's, you're 100% right. You can't take anything for granted in this game, especially in this life, and you just think, fair play to your son, and let's just keep the game going, son.
Well, thanks very much, and take care.
See you in a bit. Bellin.
Click, buy, deliver with remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasin the Racin.